Yo, what's good? Today I'm gonna show you how to make loops like WHYTIZZLE for Doeboy or Southside. If you don't know WHYTIZZLE, he's like one of the craziest loop makers out there. He produced on Doeboy's latest project, Oh Really? And he also co-produced Aerobics. That's been like one of the hardest songs in a minute. Anyways, definitely make sure to follow him on IG, and let's get into this loop. Bro, that loop is crazy. As you can hear, this loop has this dark ambient vibe that you can also hear in lots of WHYTIZZLE loops. So let's start breaking down the melody. So I started this loop with this piano from Contact right here. As you can hear, there are lots of effects on here, but we will get into those in a minute. Let's first go through how I created that melody. So I wanted this piano to be like very spacey and dark, so I went for like a very simple melody here. So when I had this, I just copied it over like that and started placing bass notes. I added those two bass notes at the root note, which is like the most basic thing that you do in almost every loop. And at that point I could have already continued with the next sound, but I wanted to have like a bit of variation and progression in the bass. So what I did is I added those two bass notes here, which added a lot of tension. Then I copied this whole thing over and came up with this progression for the last part of the 8 bars. As you could hear, I added a lot of reverb to this piano, and I also added this plugin right here, which added some ambience in the upper frequencies. The second sound I added was this pad from Contact. Yeah, very basic, just adding to this kind of creepy ambient vibe. I just added some stereo separation and some basic EQing here. At that point I was just adding sound, so I ended up using this bell right here. As you can see, it's a very basic pattern. You have some tension here because of those two notes that are next to each other. And I wanted to add this kind of delay effect without actually using a delay, just for those two notes, and I did that by lowering the velocities on those two notes. After that I made the sound a bit wider and added some reverb and EQ. That's what the whole loop sounded like at that point. So I wanted to add to the lower mid frequencies at that point. So what I came up with is this string pattern right here. As you can see, nothing special here. I basically just copied this pattern over and put this note at the end an octave up. On the mixer, actually no effects. That's also maybe something that you could take away from this video. You shouldn't just mix for the sake of mixing. In this case, the sound already fit in with the rest of the loop, and I didn't have the need to add any effects on there. So the last sound is, in my opinion, also one of the highlights of this loop. So very interesting stringy sound there, which also acts like somewhat of a lead in this loop. I added some pancake, then I added some halftime with 27% mix to add like to the lower frequencies of the sound, and in the end I added like the generic low cut. This is what it sounds like without effects. And this is with effects. At that point I started with the arrangement. This is what I came up with. Let me know if you want me to talk about my arrangement process in a future video. I wasn't quite satisfied though. I wanted to have like another kind of lead sound in the second part of the chorus here. I ended up taking the pad and the string pattern. I rendered those out. So that's what they sound like together. I ended up stretching it with the resample mode, and that made it sound like this. Again, there's some very basic processing here. Some pancake, making it pan from left to right. We have an EQ which cuts out a lot of the lower frequencies. And again, we have a very basic reverb. And I think in the context of the whole loop it fits in perfectly at the second part of the chorus. When I had the loop ready, I rendered it out as an audio file. I won't show you my master effect chain, but I will give you a very good tip for mastering your loops. You have to look at it like this. You have all these different sounds, they're recorded in different kinds of environments and have different kinds of effects on them. And to make them feel like one thing, you should definitely process them together. Also, I would definitely recommend you to EQ your loops. What I usually do is lowering the lower mid frequencies and boosting the higher mid. But obviously you have to go by ear. Let's listen to the loop without a cue and with a cue. Yeah, definitely makes a lot of difference. And that's it from this loop breakdown. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, tell me which producer you want to see next. Also definitely make sure to follow me on IG. I will send everyone that follows and DMs me 5 loops that are gonna be in my next loop kit. So definitely make sure to check me out. Let's log in, and yeah, I'll see you next time.